Well, apologies that this review is fashionably late. So, the Forbidden Door has been thrust open for the third year in a row with All Elite Wrestling, and I gotta be honest, Tomas, the Forbidden Door being open isn't really all that special anymore. It honestly just feels like the Forbidden Door has been open, and it's like you walk into Starbucks. Anybody can walk through that door now.
My issue with Forbidden Door, it was really cool in the beginning, but it's not really a Forbidden Door when we see this cross promotion with you almost every single week. Like one of AEW's top stars is currently holding the New Japan IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and it just doesn't feel special anymore. It's not as special as, let's say, WWE and TNA's relationship right now, where that's fresh and these wrestlers are still exclusive to their brands, but we're getting this cool cross promotion. It's a weird dynamic that I've noticed from AEW since the beginning. On one hand, it's really cool, and a lot of people think it's really cool that these wrestlers aren't just shackled to AEW. They have to only work AEW. They can't go anywhere else. It's cool that Tony Khan lets them accept dates other places, but it just feels like, especially in the last year, it's been utter madness and titles are all over the place. Wrestlers show up literally anywhere they want. And it's just like, and I know there's the whole argument of, you don't know who this wrestler is, you should Google them. Well, you know what? There's too many names on this show for me to just Google.
Right.
And it's starting to become a chore.
Well, it's the same thing even now with WWE because you notice people like AJ Styles are working Pro Wrestling Noah matches now. Io Sky, I believe, has a match with Stardom coming up. You see freaking Shayna Baszler showing up at Bloodsport now, GCW. And yes, to your point, TNA stars are now starting to show up in NXT, like Joe Hendry. Motherfucker still hasn't shown up. I've said his name way too many times on this podcast, but I still have not
Frankie
seen him.
Kazarian. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Frankie Kazarian, like Tatum Paxley, who showed up to accept what's her name? Wow, I am
Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace, thank you. I wanted to say it. I had Jay was on my mind. You can tell I am very basketball weeks. Jordan Grace's open challenge for the Knockouts Championship. It's cool to see this kind of cross promotion, but with AEW, it just feels like it's gotten overboard. And let's address the elephant in the room now. One of the main reasons why this review was so late. AEW is ice cold.
Yeah.
I have almost little to no interest. I have not watched an episode of Dynamite in like a month. And buying these pay-per-views, $50 a pop, sure. Are the matches good? Yeah. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their lack of focus. I don't know if it's their lack of interesting storylines. I don't know if it's because, the CM Punk thing really ruptured a giant hole in AEW that they are still trying to repair. But I don't know. I have little to no interest in AEW right now, and I hate that. I hate that I have little to no interest. But when it's not holding my attention, it's not holding my attention. I swear to you guys, I'm not just being a WWE cuckboy right now. I want to like AEW. I literally went through this whole thing in my head the other night that if it wasn't for AEW, I wouldn't be watching pro wrestling in 2019 because WWE made me sick to my stomach in 2019. And AEW really saved my love for professional wrestling. So I'm happy AEW's around and I want them to be better. But right now, I do not care.
They're just there.
Like anything that they're doing.
They say that it's where the best wrestle, and yeah, you have phenomenal wrestlers on the roster, but I'm gonna need a little bit more than just like 5-star matches across the board. I'm gonna need stories. And WWE is knocking it out of the park with stories. And now, it's not to say that AEW does not have some great long-term stories going on, but it's only like a few and far between, as opposed to when you look at Monday Night Raw, for example. Up and down the card, there's phenomenal long-term storytelling across the board there. But AEW, it's like, you only have a few select stories that we'll get into that I find myself interested in. But other than that, it's
perfectly honest. Like, I think AEW has too much TV time than they know what to do with. They got Dynamite, they got Rampage, they got Collision. And with all that TV time and all of these wrestlers, they just can't stay focused on a really good story. They kind of sort of had something with the Elite Takeover, but a lot of people across the board are saying it's not working out as well as they thought it would. Like it started out fine.
No.
But now it's just another faction among the million other factions across AEW and Ring of Honor. And don't even get me started about Ring of Honor. They are just, you see that meme of the mother holding up the child in the pool, and it's like that the mother is Tony Khan. He is holding up AEW, and in the background is Collision drowning, and at the very bottom of the pool that's a skeleton is Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
There's really no other way to put this. And I don't want to sit here and badmouth AEW the entire time. We don't make these podcasts to just shit talk the promotions. It's just, it's a fact. It truly is a fact. And I have been trying, like every Wednesday, I have been telling myself, watch Dynamite, watch Dynamite. And you know what's even sadder? When I do watch Dynamite, it's background noise.
Yeah. It feels more like a chore.
It's starting to feel like a chore. And that's very unfortunate to say because the wrestling is good. I will never not acknowledge that the wrestling is good, but I don't know. I think this is a perfect segue into this opening match, which I believe is yours.
Yes, yeah. So we kick off Forbidden Door from June 30th. This is a couple weeks late. Long Island, New York. Funny enough, because your opener is the returning Maxwell Jacob Friedman, his first pay-per-view match in 6 months since World's End when he lost the world title to Samoa Joe. More on him in a little bit. But he's going up against a man I've never heard of in my life, Hechicero from CMLL. And this is, I guess, their attempts to open the Forbidden Door even wider to allow CMLL guys to come in, allow Stardom people to come in. And I'm just thinking, yeah, you're really making me do research here on these guys. So and I don't really care about the match. I mean, I care about seeing MJF, and the Long Island crowd cheered for their man, but it's no real heat going into this, and the match was fine. But
you know what these Forbidden Door shows are starting to feel like? It's starting to feel like when NXT would do Worlds Collide, and they would do NXT versus NXT UK versus 205 Live. Which the matches were great, but there was little to no substance to those matches. The only 2 matches I can really recall from those shows is when Luke Harper and Donovan Dijak tore the house down.
I don't remember that at all.
It's an amazing hidden gem of a match. Definitely check it out. It was
Luke Harper was on a Worlds Collide show?
He was.
Wow.
It was months before Harper got released from WWE. And then there was a Fatal 4 match with Leo Rush, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, and I think Tony Nese. I could be wrong on that.
But that was right before COVID then.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal 4-way for the Cruiserweight title. But this is and then Ring of Honor would do these kind of shows with New Japan and AAA, and it just feels like they're just putting guys in the ring with each other just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was really cool because you would have this cross promotion, and you really wanted to feel like brand warfare. But I don't know. And then you bring up another good point with CMLL involved. Well, good job, AEW. Now you can't involve AAA because those 2 companies hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, prime pickings for Chef Shawn Michaels over at NXT. I'm sure he wants some of those AAA guys to come in. MJF comes out. He's a hero in Long Island. He grew up 15 minutes away from this building, according to commentator Taz.
Let's point out right now, we know this review is already going to be so outdated because, yes, we are aware that MJF turned heel.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He was never a babyface. Tomas. He's been a heel this whole time.
He fucking got me. He continues to get me. Even when I let my guard down. Even when I let my fucking guard down a couple months ago, he still got me.
MJF is the man, dude. He's
this
the man.
Was a fine match.
Yeah.
It was a fine match. They worked well with each other. I definitely appreciated the chemistry considering they were only given 9 minutes. But I just felt like there was no heat to this match. It was just a perfectly fine professional wrestling match.
Yeah, they wrestled fine. Hechicero found the hard cam and started giving people the middle finger because he was on MJF's home turf. I don't know what about the novelty of a masked wrestler, a masked luchador flipping the crowd off. I don't know why that gets me. I don't know why I find that funny, but I don't know.
It gives you the same perception as what if Spider-Man did this?
Yeah, right.
The superhero flipping people off.
What if a masked wrestler started kicking people in the dick? Watch some old PWG matches, right, with Drago kicking people in the dick.
You also bring up a good point. Hechicero is flipping off the hard cam side. Well, he's flipping off nobody. So.
Yeah, no, AEW hasn't had people sitting in that part of the arena for a long time, have they? The finish comes
Did you
around.
see that episode of Raw where CM Punk called that shit out and
Oh
said like,
yeah,
"Let's go over here." Like, there's actually people on this side of the camera. I'm like,
God, and never mentions AEW by name. Never mentions Tony Khan by name on Raw, so he's perfectly within his rights to do that. Uh, I should also note that for some reason, even though MJF's a heel, he does all the babyface 101 moves. He is slamming his opponent, doing a body slam. He's doing the 10 corner punches. The only thing missing was a kangaroo kick, Tomas. I'm sure you were
nope. He
very
said that shit is dead.
I'm sure you were very happy to not see a kangaroo kick. MJF ends up hitting a Panama Sunrise and a Brainbuster for the pinfall. Yeah, pretty easy win, pretty straightforward. I mean, MJF, obviously he was going to win this match. He just had his big return at Double or Nothing. His opponent doesn't really have any heat going in. I think the best I could do is 2 3/4 stars. I don't know.
I
I thought it
mean,
was a fine wrestling match.
I'll give it 3 because I did appreciate the chemistry they had in this match. I guess I just really can't get over the fact that number one, this opener was very short. And number two, MJF is the hometown hero. And I understand he just came back, but you couldn't cook something up with a little more substance. Like, even though him versus Roosh isn't Forbidden Door, but even that feud had a little more heat to it.
That
Than
felt
this
like a
did.
pay-per-view
Like,
match. MJF and
yeah,
Roosh, I would have
because
killed to see that.
they wrestled on an episode of Dynamite, and that's what led into this match because they win, because the MJF wins, and then all of a sudden the embassy shows up on screen and they say, "Oh, you're gonna fight Hechicero at Forbidden Door." I'm like, okay,
Who?
okay.
Who? I have to go research this guy. But yeah, MJF, of course, after this, he would turn back into a heel, and it looks like he is going after the International Championship and Will Ospreay. Maybe setting up a match with Daniel Garcia at Wembley. Of all people, Daniel Garcia versus MJF, maybe even for the International Championship.
I will say though, MJF versus Will Ospreay, that looks like a banger, and I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah,
That is a
it's on
5-star match on paper.
it's on free TV though. That's the issue. Tony Khan is giving away these matches, and I get it. AEW Dynamite is hitting 250 episodes, which is awesome. I'm sure Eric Bischoff is seething right now, but 250 episodes, that's nothing to slouch at. But Will Ospreay and MJF, you don't just put that on a free episode of television. That's a pay-per-view match. Like,
Especially when you're weeks away from your biggest show in the UK. It kind of just makes you wonder now, what are they going to do with Will Ospreay?
your
Because
biggest,
he didn't win the world championship.
yeah. Maybe,
He did.
maybe this is where Ricochet comes in. I don't know. But
More on that later.
yeah,
If it happens.
if it happens, when it happens. But anyway, up next, this is a weird ass match.
This was a weird match, but I liked it. Actually, one of the bright spots on the show for me. You have the new elite, which is the tag team champions, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson teaming up with the Continental champion, Kazuchika Okada, taking on the Acclaimed, which is Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Otherwise known as Scissor Ace, because Tony Khan likes to merge the names.
That was actually a good one.
Oh, really? You actually like that one?
This is what I'm talking about when I say Forbidden Door. You have the two. This is like the Rock and Austin of Japan, and Tanahashi and Okada. And the fact that they're in this match interacting after so many years is so freaking cool. Let me just say this right now. Caster killed on the microphone during this night.
Yes.
He was all fucking in on the Bucks and Okada. It was really good. You could see he was fired up. I don't think the plan is to put the tag titles back on the Acclaim, but
I hope so. I really hope so.
Pick up steam again, and Tony Khan cannot fuck it up this time. If you want to make the Acclaim the biggest fucking baby faces in your company, you give them that feel good win over the Bucks
at Wembley. At Wembley, nowhere else.
Yeah, who the fuck else is going to take the tag titles off the Bucks?
Exactly. I can't think of another team to do it. I've already seen the Bucks and FTR wrestle more times than I care to admit or want to see. So I'd love to see the Acclaim do it. I'm pulling for them.
Also, the crowd already popped huge when the Acclaim pinned the Bucks in a non-title match, which almost never happens in AEW. Could you imagine the pop when they win the tag team titles again. So just saying that out loud now, yeah, the Acclaimed need to be the ones to beat the Bucks for these titles. But this was
Yes,
a pretty entertaining match, all
it
things
was.
considered.
It was. They were building up to that Okada Tanahashi stare down, and we thought we were going to get it at the beginning, but I was like, I knew better as a fan. I was like, there's no way this dickhead Okada is going to let the fans get this right away. So he tags out, he flips the crowd off. Tanahashi is starting off with one of the Bucks. The crowd does not like it, but I'm like, hey, at least Okada is making the crowd wait. At least he has his finger on the pulse there. So
Okada really knows how to work the crowd as a heel, as I noticed. And probably my favorite
he's
moment
such a good heel
is when the Acclaimed came out on an episode of Dynamite. They were going to do the rap, and Okada cut them off. And Okada's sitting in the sound booth, and he goes, "Oops, I pressed the wrong button, bitch."
I liked even during the match when I think it was Nicholas who put on Caster's beats, and then Okada is just next to him, and he's just doing like this really shitty dance, as if like Nicholas is gonna drop some rhymes.
It was good. The only like very like this isn't good moment of the match is when the fans started chanting CM Punk, and then the fans replied with the "He got fired" chant. If the fans are chanting CM Punk at your show, it's not a good look.
Nope. Especially during a Bucks match.
Happening if you didn't leak the footage.
Yep. Let's just say that AEW and Matthew and Nicholas, they had it coming, and they're getting exactly what they deserve. So, Bowens gets the tag. He hits the Fame Asser on Nicholas. You know, he's a house of fire. I think there were like...
Can we give Bowens credit for being the hot tag guy and how good he is at it?
Yeah, Bowens is so good, man. He hits the Scissor Me Timbers at one point, which is a move that I love. It's one of my favorite move names in all of wrestling. So Tanahashi eventually does get the hot tag. Tanahashi is going wild. He finally has the stare down with Okada. And man, this crowd was eating it up. Caster mic drop elbow. Bowens with the arrival on Okada. Tanahashi then tries to go up top, but the Bucks stop him. I mean, this is like, it's a good trios tag team match, as you would expect from these 6 guys, all very talented. Tanahashi takes out both Bucks with leg whips. Then Okada cuts him off, hits one Rainmaker clothesline, and he pins him in 13 minutes. Solid enough, 3 1/4, I would say.
I would say so too. I also really enjoyed the selling of how devastating the Rainmaker clothesline is, because after the match, like Medical came in the ring to even check up on Tanahashi. The Elite was going to continue the beatdown, but then the weirdest thing in the world happens, and Daddy Ass has a stare down with Okada. This is what I'm talking about, AEW. We don't need to see this.
Don't need to see Billy Gunn at 60 years old staring down Okada, of all people. Like, is what?
Nothing against Billy Gunn. You know, he looks in phenomenal shape for his age. He can still go, but it's like, this just really feels like Billy Gunn was backstage and told Tony Khan, "Hey, let me wrestle Okada." And Tony Khan was like, "Okay." Instead of looking at, is that really a quality match for TV that's going to boost ratings?
Could you imagine Billy Gunn backstage going up to Tony and being like, "Hey, I think I'm the one to beat Okada because I'm the one Billy Gunn." Can you imagine?
It's so jarring. It's so weird. I don't know why AEW just feels like they're pandering more to the boys in the back than they are pandering to the fans. Like, nobody's asking for this.
Nobody cares.
And you know what? It's going to be a throwaway match on TV. And if you have any... Okada's not going to drop the title to Billy Gunn. And if you...
No.
The sheer thought of that is just ludicrous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you know, Chris Bridges is not booking this show, so I don't know how ludicrous it can be. But anyway, Tomas hated that joke. So, with that said... No more joking around. We got an Owen Hart Foundation tournament match to talk about. The eventual winner, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, was wrestling this first round match against Shingo Takagi. This is one of those long-term stories that I was discussing. The men's and the women's Owen Hart tournaments this year, the winners were going to get title shots at All In. That immediately made Danielson a favorite because the story going around is that this is his last full-time year as a wrestler. Sad to hear that it's going to be an AEW of all places, but I mean, it made him the sentimental favorite.
it's going to be a very, very, very sad year in professional wrestling. The fact that we got Bryan Danielson voluntarily retiring, and then next year we have John Cena voluntarily retiring. So look at that. The SummerSlam main event of 2013 is finally closing its doors, and I feel very old. Very, very old.
God damn it. This is, by the way, a matchup between a former WWE champion and a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. We don't get enough of those, really, do we?
We don't.
Yeah, so Danielson, of course, is coming out with his upper back and his neck area, which is documented very damaged at this point in his career. It's heavily taped, so huge bullseye for Shingo Takagi. Nigel McGuinness is sitting there on commentary, and he is just trashing Bryan Danielson so hard. I'm convinced at this point that Nigel is cleared. I mean, we're not getting this at all in, but like...
He's not being very subtle about this.
No.
Is he? I mean, I do appreciate McGuinness basically being the Bobby Heenan to Bryan Danielson's Hulk Hogan. And you all know that my biggest issue with Bryan Danielson's booking is that he can't fucking decide if he's a heel or a face. So if he was more cemented as a face, then yeah, I would appreciate this little dynamic a lot more. But McGuinness is really putting his all into this feud. And it is a nice throwback to the Bobby Heenan Hulk Hogan feud. That if you didn't know that, for you kids out there, Bobby Heenan would find every single opportunity in the world to trash Hulk Hogan. It did not matter if Hogan was a heel or if he was a face. Heenan hated Hogan. So Heenan was very unbiased towards Hogan. And the two biggest calls that come out of that feud are, number one, I think it was Tony Schiavone actually that told Bobby Heenan, or maybe it was Gorilla Monsoon. They told him, wow, if Hulk Hogan could walk on water, you would say, look at him, he can't swim. And the other one was how Heenan leaked the heel turn to the NWO when Hogan came out to make the save. And Heenan said, oh, yeah, well, whose side is he on? And it's a debate that people saying, did Heenan just give away the finish?
Oh, he must have, yeah. Rest in peace, Brain. Match was very physical. These guys were really kicking the crap out of each other, and surprise, surprise, Tomas, a match with Bryan Danielson involved in it is an awesome match. Who would have thunk it? One of the best wrestlers in the world.
Good.
This is one of my
the best spots in, one of the best spots in the match is Danielson goes for a suicide dive to Takagi, and Takagi catches him midway through the ropes and does a spinning neck breaker on the concrete.
Oh, yeah, and Danielson...
vicious spot.
But how many times do we have to do the storyline of Danielson selling his head and neck? Like, we did it at Dynasty. I think we did it at Double or Nothing as well. It's kind of growing a little bit tired, and I'm going a little bit jaded to it. You know, it's... I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be.
And no, I don't think they needed to have medical come out and check on him again.
No, I shouldn't be this frustrated right now, but this is Bryan Danielson we're talking about. One of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And I'm already growing jaded to one of his storylines. It's, yeah. You can sense why I'm frustrated with AEW right now. Shingo is dominating for a while. Danielson, of course, goes through his comeback. He actually does lead the crowd in the yes chant after doing one of those capture suplexes. Then he hits the running knee for a great near fall. It's the running. It's the running knee. And then Bryan is like, it's time to kick his fucking head in. He does so. He is a man of his word.
Also, tell me if I'm wrong. Did Takagi make fun of the yes chant? Because I think he did, and I thought that was great. He might have. Yeah. I don't remember explicitly him making fun of the yes chant, but wouldn't have surprised me. No, Shingo was great. He really impressed me. I haven't really watched a lot of his work, I'll admit, but he's awesome. So good. Bryan then traps Shingo in a triangle lock and then elbow strikes. It's a really physical ending. Then he sits on Shingo's back while he's still in the triangle choke, pulls his arm back, and then Shingo passes out in the submission. Great 20-minute match. I'm giving it 4 1/4 stars. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know how much more I can take of Danielson selling his head and neck at this point, though. That's my only real problem with it. I'm gonna give the match 4 stars. I thought it was excellent. It was nowhere amazing as the Ospreay match, and I think there was another match Danielson had. Like, there's definitely some even better Danielson matches, but that's not saying by any stretch of the meaning that this was bad. This was absolutely fantastic. And it was probably one of the better told stories on this show.
Yes, yeah. Bryan and his quest to getting his first AEW World Championship. It's a really solid story they were telling with the Owen Hart Cup tournament this year, because he would beat Shingo in the first round. Then, spoiler, he would beat Pac in the semifinals, and then Hangman in the finals, I believe. And then Danielson ends up. Point being, he wins the tournament. He is going to be facing the AEW World Champion in Wembley Stadium. So hopefully he can get one more world title run before he retires, a legit one. It's a good story. I like it. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. Yeah. AEW Marks. I like it. I like this story.
The following match had me all sorts of confused.
Boy.
Sorts of confused.
This is, believe it or not, the best story in AEW going right now is this right here.
But it's confusing.
Ahead. Yeah.
We have Timeless Toni Storm defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Mina Shirakawa from Stardom. And let's address the elephant in the room now and how confusing the storyline is. The story they were trying to pay off is that Mariah May is very good friends with both participants in this match. But I can't decide who the fuck's side she was supposed to be on, because it wasn't like, what's a good example? Paul Heyman, CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar. Let's use that for an example. How Heyman managed both superstars, but then Heyman used a Lesnar when he turned on Punk. And it also doesn't make enough sense. Let's use a more practical example. AJ Styles deciding between Kurt Angle and Christian Cage. Remember how?
Oh, yeah. At final resolution, you'll have my answer. I remember that one.
When Styles, Angle and Christian were in a fist fight with each other, and Styles kept breaking it up, and he could not decide. He was so conflicted. It wasn't like that story. It was literally that Mariah May was in both of these girls' corner in the lead up, but then really weird shit would happen where she would be in the ring with Shirakawa for the contract signing, and then the minute the contract signing started, Mina Shirakawa looks up at Mariah May and says, "I don't like you."
For what? why don't you like her?
And Explain. It just felt like there was no tension going into this. And it just felt like Toni Storm was just okay with her being in Shirakawa's corner during the contract signing. And then, they would do like the run-ins, and Mariah May would get saved by Mina Shirakawa. But then she just insults her at the contract signing. And it just didn't feel like there was any conflicted emotions in Mariah May. So what could have been a really good story just fell extremely flat to me.
Yeah, but she is definitely in both girls' corners in this match, presenting flowers to both of them. Toni Storm is coming out like the Statue of Liberty for this entrance, which I thought was okay. No, it makes sense thinking about it because they were in New York. Yeah, okay, no, that adds up. I was like, why was she dressed up as a Statue of Liberty? And I legit forgot where they were for the pay-per-view, and I'm like, okay, Long Island.
We are aware that this is an outdated review, but I looked at this entrance and I thought, how is she not the babyface?
Well, we'll get our answer in a couple weeks.
Exactly. Like I said, I know this is an outdated review, but at the time of watching the show, that's why I couldn't help but think that. How is she not the face?
These fans cannot help but cheer for Toni Storm regardless because of this freaking awesome gimmick. So Mina, I mean, this is good wrestling. I wouldn't say I liked this as much as the Serena Deeb match, which is kind of ironic because of how much I was kind of trashing the build to the Serena Deeb match going in because I thought it was heel versus heel, and they proved me wrong in that one.
Was any match that needed some overbooking, it was this one. Because throughout the entire match, absolutely zero confliction on Mariah May's face over which one of my friends wants to win. I would have loved some overbooking, a ref bump,
maybe Luther interference, maybe.
Yeah, or like something like there's a ref bump, and then Mariah May has to decide who she's going to choose. They both want a steel chair, and she doesn't know who to pick. Maybe some miscommunication, like some overbooking would have helped me be a little more invested in this match. But nope, This was a straight up wrestling match from start to finish.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. Mina applied the figure 4 leg lock a couple of times, or as my girlfriend would say, two wrestlers scissoring each other in the middle of the ring. But Toni Storm escaped the submission.
The figure 4 leg lock.
I mean, how come the Acclaim's finisher is not the figure 4 leg lock? Because they're all about scissoring people, right? Tomas is already, he's done with me. Mina, of course, Toni Storm escapes the submission hold. But yeah, to your point, pretty straightforward. I mean, Toni Storm is hitting a hip attack here and there. Mina does hit the glamour driver, which is a nice finisher. That's a near fall. Toni Storm, I mean, there's no real chicanery involved on the outside. It's a pretty fair match here. Toni Storm then hooks her up, hits the Storm Zero for the pinfall. She retains the title. Match went 12 minutes. Very good match. I mean, 3.5 stars, but there's just nothing nothing super memorable about it. Yeah. Pardon?
I said there were no. Sorry, choking on water.
No, it's okay.
No stakes. There was no stakes. I just feel like this could have been a little more dramatic, some more drama in this whole ordeal.
No stakes. It's interesting you say that, Tomas, because need I remind the viewer that the Women's World Championship was on the line in this. Didn't really feel like Mina had much of a shot in this. But,
nope.
Afterwards, Mariah May is basically like, hey, let's all come together. Let's all say kumbaya. Let's all be peaceful. And they share a 3-way kiss in the middle of the ring. All the males over 18 who are single in there, I'm sure, loved it.
I'm sure some 16, 17-year-olds enjoyed it too.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. No, this got a big pop. Probably the biggest pop out of anything these 3 girls did in this little segment. But that's not the whole real story of this, because Mariah May won the Owen Hart Cup, and she ended up, as soon as she won the tournament, Toni Storm was out there congratulating her. And then Mariah May brutalizes her mentor. Toni Storm is left bloodied on the top of the stage. Mariah May even beats up Luther at the top of the stage.
This is something that warrants blood, so good job.
Yeah.
This actually warranted blood.
Yeah, it did. That was I'll give the devil credit where it's due. This was a great closing angle with Mariah May beating the shit out of Toni Storm. And I can't wait to see that match at All In. I can't wait to see Mariah May get her Mickie James moment and win the title. I think that's what's going to happen.
The title.
I don't think Toni Storm is walking out of this with the belt. I really don't. It's been a good 9 months or however long it's been. Mariah May has got to take this.
Was the moment I was talking about during our Revolution. No. What was the last pay-per-view?
Double or Nothing?
Yes, this was the moment I was talking about in the Double or Nothing review, where this was the big payoff we have been waiting for, and they accidentally built up to it. It's just that everything in between just felt like there was no... All of Toni Storm's opponents just felt like flavors of the month.
Yeah.
So we did have to sacrifice that to get to this amazing payoff. So I do credit AEW for building this very, very well. Literally from the moment Mariah May debuted. And you know what, Tony Khan? This is what you need to do with every single new person that you sign. Don't immediately thrust them out there into a world title match. Don't immediately thrust them out there into a main event and they have nothing to do with them. It's okay to have them be a manager, be an unlikely tag team partner, have them work their way up the ranks. This feels very much like a storyline Triple H would have done. I think the most appropriate example would be Lyra Valkyria. Her story has been she's the plucky new up-and-comer. She is fighting her way through the ranks against very credible opponents, and she is slowly but surely winning the hearts of the fans. So It's okay to take your time with these new people. Introduce them to the crowd. Let the crowd get to know them. Slowly introduce their gimmick. They don't need to always go on a winning streak. They can win matches. They can lose matches. They can cut promos just as long as they're being consistently booked on TV in a consistent fashion with their storylines and their character development. Boom, there you go. I don't care if you have to take a whole year to do this. The payoff is always worth it.
Hey, Tony, This is how you should book Ricochet. Don't thrust him into a title match right away, unlike some people. Anyway, yeah, I mean, solid enough women's match, 3.5 stars. I mean, the real story is going to be Toni and Mariah May moving forward. I can't wait to see the match at All In. But you want to go from a story that has a lot of heat right now to a match that had no heat, figuratively?
It's a match I wish I was more excited for. I love both of these guys.
Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. I should have been frothing at the mouth to see this thing. And I was just like, all right. I mean, there's no real story. These two guys really have nothing going on for a Forbidden Door show. So Toni just matched them up.
Zack Sabre Jr. isn't even the New Japan Television champion anymore. So it's not that they can even put a title on the match in this show. But, let's go back to the first Forbidden Door. What was that match? Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy for the United States Championship.
Yep.
An absolute banger. A match I would put in my top 10 AEW matches of all time. This wasn't it.
No. Orange Cassidy is just coming off of a pretty mediocre best friends breakup alongside Trent and the retiring Chucky T. And now
It shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't have been that. Now he's kind of floundering with nothing to do, and you have Zack Sabre Jr., it's ironic I'm saying that, because Orange Cassidy's gimmick is that he's a fucking lazy-ass worker. So you have him going in there with a technical wizard trying to match wrestling wits with him, so to speak. And you don't even have, Orange Cassidy's character has already evolved past the point of him, just doing those shin kicks, he still does them. But he gets a lot more aggressive by the end of that shin-kicking sequence. Now it's up to the opponent to really make that bit as entertaining as possible. And now you have to mock Orange Cassidy.
Zack Sabre Jr. is truly a diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
He is just, how has this guy been so hidden for so long? I know in 2016 he was offered something from WWE and he took the smart route and didn't take it. But this guy deserves such a bigger platform than he already is on, because he is seriously a generational talent. And you don't find too many wrestlers like this guy.
No. I remember when I picked him to win the Cruiserweight Classic, but then he did not want to sign with WWE because he knew that Vince McMahon would ruin him. So more credit to him for getting out while he could. But these two guys, it's a solid enough wrestling match. It's going along just fine. Zack Sabre Jr. actually does do the Pete Dunne finger snapping gimmick with Orange Cassidy, and Orange is selling it. The fans are chanting "You sick fuck" at Zack Sabre Jr. Orange is
as great of a heel Zack Sabre Jr. is. I would have loved to see more of his heel tactics. Because I praised his heel work and how subtle he is with telling the crowd to go fuck themselves. I just feel like there was a plethora of opportunities here with his opponent being Orange Cassidy to do stuff like that, and he didn't really do it. He could have knocked the hands in the pockets. He could have taken his sunglasses and worn them. He could have put Orange Cassidy's hands in his pockets and then tied him up into a pretzel and kicked him around like a soccer ball.
Yeah.
There were so many opportunities here, and this, again, it was just a straight-up wrestling match.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the problem with that statement that I just had, Zack Sabre Jr. can be a really good heel, but for the type of heel that I would want Zack Sabre Jr. to be, I don't think he has the right look for it. Because if you put Zack Sabre Jr. in a heel role, I would automatically cast him as, the preppy douchebag. You wouldn't really take him all that seriously. You wouldn't take him as seriously as, say, a Will Ospreay was as a heel last year against Kenny Omega. Remember when he was drinking Omega's blood at last year's Forbidden Door? Crowd was chanting, "You sick fuck," and Ospreay looked out and he was like, yummy, bro.
Considering how good, and Zack Sabre Jr.'s look, this could have been an Orange Cassidy versus an evil Orange Cassidy moment. But I don't know. Maybe wishful thinking. But it was a match.
I almost had a stroke. I almost had a stroke when he said Orange Cassidy versus evil Orange Cassidy, because I started immediately thinking of Kane versus Imposter Kane for some reason. I don't know why, but
Jimmy versus Jey Uso.
Yeah. Those kind of matches turn out pretty disappointing, though, don't they? So I'm kind of glad they didn't go that route. Orange does make his comeback. He hits a beach break as well as a Superman punch. Sabre, they're going back and forth.
At my next AEW viewing party, I'm gonna make Orange Punch.
Orange really?
Cassidy.
Oh, what's gonna be in Orange Punch?
orange slices. It's going to be probably Kool-Aid.
What?
Probably like a squeeze of lime to make it sweet.
Why would there be whole orange slices in there though? Is that just a garnish? It's a garnish, or do we actually have to eat it?
Both.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. I'll try it. Orange, they're exchanging some pin attempts. Orange even attempted a Texas cloverleaf. Then Sabre pulls on both of Orange's arms while pulling on Orange's legs. It's a weird, not a stretch muffler submission hold, but it looks very unorthodox. Orange Cassidy taps out without literally tapping out, and Zack Sabre Jr. wins. This match went over 16 minutes. It was solid enough. Best I can give it is 3.5 stars, but again, no real heat for it.
Yeah, this should have been a 4-star match easily, but there was no heat, and I had no reason to kind of hope for either of these guys to win. You want a really good Forbidden Door match with Orange Cassidy? Go watch his match with Will Ospreay.
Yeah, that's at the original Forbidden Door from 2 years ago for the U.S. title. So
if you want to count the pre-show, we have 15 matches on the show.
Way too fucking many.
This is one of those examples where you could have nicked a match, and this is one of them. And it sucks because I like 4 of the guys in this match.
Yep. What do we got?
And with all things considered, I didn't hate the story going into this, but it's Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata versus the Learning Tree, which is Chris Jericho and Big Bill. Originally, the partner was going to be Bryan Keith, but he got injured. And I do like their tag team partner, Jeff Cobb.
Tomas's homie. Literally. That's for shoot. Tomas and Jeff Cobb are friends. Sort of. Right?
We are. We've been trying to score an interview with him for the past year. Just we're trying to work up the courage to personally message Rocky Romero.
Make it happen.
Jeff Cobb said we needed to do, and that's a lot easier said than done. So we're still working up the courage to do that. So
One day.
An interview with Jeff Cobb on this channel.
One day.
But he was not a last minute recruit. This is obviously planned to be, this wouldn't be a Forbidden Door match if Jeff Cobb wasn't there.
And he's the new Japan Television Champion, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He came out with the belt. Yeah. So, what do you guys want me to say about this Learning Tree shit? It doesn't need to happen. Chris Jericho. Jericho does not need to. Chris Jericho needs to take his Trumper beliefs and not be on TV anymore. Get out of here, dude.
This is the 3rd stable Chris Jericho's been a part of since AEW formed, and I'm just so fucking over it.
Yeah, I'm done.
More.
Yeah. So you want to know what a key part to that is, Tomas? The bell rings. Not even 3 seconds into the match, the crowd starts chanting, "Please retire" at Jericho. Immediately.
Jericho, you would think Jericho being in the business for 30 years now, he would know what go away heat is, but he's delusional. He does not think this is go away heat.
No.
He gets on the mic and he says, "You guys don't want me to retire because I'm from Long Island. I'm from New York.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, and Taz is hounding Jericho on commentary because, of course, his son is across the ring from him. His son has been sucked into the Learning Tree vortex, never to escape. His AEW deal cannot come up sooner. Jesus.
One thing I liked about this match, Jeff Cobb and Samoa Joe, that's a hoss fight I would pay to see.
So first of all, Samoa Joe has now been sucked into the Learning Tree vortex as well. And I don't want to depress myself too much thinking about that, but remember 2 months ago when Samoa Joe was the world champion? Good times. Really, really good times. I'd love Samoa Joe.
Punishing the man that carried the company on his back while your 2 biggest stars were injured.
I don't know. Maybe he really wants to get Hook over. Maybe. And maybe he wants to work with Shibata. But in order to do that, he's got to have the Learning Tree across from him. And
also, Joe and Shibata, that makes me want to go watch some 2006 Ring of Honor. Or 2002 Ring of Honor.
Oh, man. Yeah, it makes me think of the insane chops that Samoa Joe took back in those days.
Yeah, I want to watch him versus Kenta Kobashi. Give me a best of Ring of Honor 2003, and I'll watch that shit all day.
Yeah, so Joe and Jeff Cobb have a meat fest in the middle of the ring, which sounds extremely disgusting in the wrong context, but they run into each other with like thick cross-body blocks. Neither man goes down. But then you have Big Bill ruining our fun. I don't get the appeal behind this guy.
Neither do I.
It's been almost a decade, and I don't get it still.
Look at all the hosses we have in professional wrestling right now. You got Powerhouse Hobbs, you got Samoa Joe, you got Jeff Cobb, you got Braun Strowman, you got Damian Priest, you got Gunta, you've got so many hosses to choose from in pro wrestling right now. I don't need Big Bill.
No.
I don't.
Yeah. You know what else this match didn't need was 2 hot tag sequences.
No.
Like, it seemed like Hook was getting heat for a bit. Then Shibata was getting heat. Shibata was locked in the walls of Jericho for a minute. Hook then gets the hot tag. Hook is running wild. One thing, that Hook did hit a super nice T-bone on Jeff Cobb. That part I loved. Hook was probably the MVP of the match, all things considered.
This match went 14 minutes and it didn't need to. This could have easily been 7, 8, 9. And 9 is being generous.
Yeah. But I will say, I do like the finish quite a bit. Hook hits the Judas effect on Chris Jericho. Taz is laughing like a maniac on commentary. Hook hooks the leg. He pins Chris Jericho. Beats him with his own move. Serves him right. Thanks, guys.
1,000 million billion trillion % confirms that Hook is going to win the FTW title back from Jericho. It's going to be a feel-good moment, but it's also going to prove that this whole feud was a big fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
So I really did like this finish because seeing Hook get his moment was awesome. I'm not saying the feud has totally ruined Hook, but I do think there were better ways to get him exposure and get him over than this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, I know certain other bookers that I know for a fact would put Hook way more over. It's just a matter of him getting out of there, you know?
If I have to be fair, Hook pinning a former multiple-time world champion and veteran in Chris Jericho does give him the rub, but it should have ended after the first match.
Yeah, it happened 2 months too late. Jericho should have never won the FTW title. Hook should have pinned him clean at Dynasty. That should have been it.
So here's the thing. If you want to rebook this feud per se, in the first match, sure, have Jericho beat Hook. And if you want his journey back to the FTW title to be this, sure, this would have given Hook a little bit of that rub that he needed, but it was that extra match. Once Hook beat Jericho the first time, it should have been over.
Yeah.
But they dragged this out longer than it needed to. And now Hook is trapped in one of those 6-month Jericho feuds. Yeah.
So when I say you're getting sucked into the learning tree vortex, I don't want to say it's career doom, but there's still ways to escape the learning tree vortex. Brian Keith can still find his way out. But
now, don't get me wrong. There are some careers that the Jericho vortex absolutely destroyed. Daniel Garcia is still trying to recover from the vortex. Action Andretti got sucked into that vortex like a black hole. Swallowed whole.
Who?
I wish I didn't have to say that because I thought Action Andretti was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's still on the roster, to my recollection. But
I'll give the match 2 stars.
I'll go 2.5. I think the match was a little better than that, but again, it went too long. Yeah. So, speaking of unnecessary, you want to talk about unnecessary violence here. We just talked about Money in the Bank, but there was a whole other ladder match that we didn't discuss. This is for the vacant TNT Championship because Adam Copeland unnecessarily jumped off of a steel cage over 50 years old, fractured his tibia, going to be out for a number of months, so we have to crown a new champion here. Initially, Matthew and Nicholas were just going to hand the TNT Championship to their prodigy, if you will, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. But
the scapegoat, Jack Perry.
But you ready to get annoyed real quick? Christopher Daniels comes out, and it's like I'm watching Adam Pearce walk out to the ring to shoot down a creative decision. And he's like, instead of just handing the title belt, we're gonna have a ladder match, and that's official. You might as well have had it like Christopher Daniels do that catchphrase, but
I don't have an issue with Christopher Daniels being an on-screen authority figure. My issue is a good point that Monster brought up, is that 1 fucking week after Daniels is introduced as this role, Tony Khan is backstage handing out world title shots like they're candy. I thought the whole point of having Daniels as an on-screen figure is that Tony Khan can't cut a promo to save his life, and Daniels was supposed to be the surrogate for him.
Exactly.
But
So
apparently not.
that leads to a bunch of qualifying matches on Dynamite, and this is your roll call for the ladder match. The Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, Mark Briscoe.
I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
Your Ring of Honor World Champion is competing for a mid-card AEW championship.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Not that there's necessarily an issue with that, but let's say Cody Rhodes challenged Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title.
Well, he almost did.
Deal, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, he almost had Logan Paul's U.S. title on his shoulder, too.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be a huge fucking deal?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be more of a threat to the mid-card title than it would be the world title?
Oh, fuck yeah.
No. In this case, Mark Briscoe is being booked like that TNT title is a hell of a lot more important than that world championship that's around his waist. If it was the other way around, if he was a mid-card champion going for a world championship, I wouldn't be complaining.
You mean
a world champion should not be starting after a mid-card championship to the point where he's willing to put himself through a grueling ladder match just to get it.
You mean that same Ring of Honor World Championship that he won at Supercard of Honor earlier this year for his late brother, another former world champion? You mean that one?
Yeah.
Annoying. Yeah. Shows you that ROH is as dead as can be. Yeah, so you have those two in there. Dante Martin is in there, which had me fear for this man's life because we were in attendance when he actually had that freak accident injury. El Phantasmo, Leo Rush, and Jack Perry. So Jack Perry qualified anyway. He's in the ladder match,
Leo
okay?
Rush that is on his way to having like his 8th retirement run, right?
Yes, that Leo Rush.
He's not even 30 yet, and he's retired like 3 times.
Yeah, and was chanting Lashley's name all along the way too, making sure Lashley was showing
22-year-old piece of gold.
Making sure Lashley was showing his ass to the WWE universe. Remember that?
Yeah, I missed the 22-year-old piece of gold.
Yeah, I miss those chants. I miss doing those chants too. But anyway, yeah, you guys have seen ladder matches before. You know how these work. There were a lot of stupid spots in there. Like, I don't even know if I want to do a play-by-play on this. Like, because it was just bedlam.
You've seen one of these. You've seen them all. You've seen all of them.
Yeah, Dante Martin was selling his left leg at one point, which is the same leg he freaking shattered in that Reach for the Sky ladder match last year, and it had me fearing for my life. Again, like Danielson, why do you have to have us worry about this guy, legitimately? You know, it's...
Also, a reminder that same weekend, both Dante Martin and Shane McMahon had career-ending injuries, damn near career-ending injuries. Dante shattered his foot doing a crazy spot off the ladder. Shane tore his quad doing a leapfrog.
Yep.
Duality of man.
Shane McMahon is not an athlete, as we've come to learn.
Or the joke I made during Mania weekend. Somebody didn't stretch before his match.
Nope. I remember you saying that. Oh boy. Takeshita looked really good in this match. I didn't think he was going to win for the story, but I mean...
He was the MVP.
Yeah, he was the MVP.
In a match that had Dante and Rush in it, Takeshita was the MVP.
Yeah. This is the man that pinned Kenny Omega in 2 straight pay-per-view matches, by the way, clean, last year. They haven't really done anything.
What was that? Oh, yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, they haven't done anything with him yet, have they? Haven't given him a title, haven't done any sort of shit with him.
Takeshita should be a household name, and now he's complaining in interviews.
Yeah. Come on over to the Fed. They'll use you. I don't know if Shinsuke Nakamura is somebody you could talk to about being used on the main roster, but hey, maybe you'll be used better. Yeah, so Takeshita is running wild, hitting Phantasmo with a loud leg slap knee smash. Blue Thunder Bomb off the apron through 2 tables, which was nuts. Looked really, really sick. Mark Briscoe stops Takeshita climbing the ladder. Jade Driller on Takeshita onto a ladder, which is, again, gnarly, because Mark was taking most of the bump himself, landing on his ass to do it. Like, Jesus Christ. Then Mark Briscoe climbs the ladder. He's all alone. Then the scapegoat comes in, nails him with 2 chair shots. Jack Perry climbs up, and every single member of the New Elite now has a title. This ladder match was just a formality to get to where they wanted to. You know?
This was 100% the right call, though. If you want to continue doing what you're trying to do with Jack Perry, I think this was absolutely necessary and the right call.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, though. This did feel like a formality because, in an alternate universe, this would just be Jack Perry challenging Adam Copeland for the TNT title. So, it took a couple extra steps, but they still got to the destination that they needed to. Mm-hmm. I thought the match was fine enough. I'll give it 3 3/4 stars. It's your typical madness of a ladder match, and there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing technically wrong with it. There were no big botches. Thank God Dante Martin walked out of it in one piece. That dude is, oh man. I fear for that man's life every single time I see him in a big hardcore match like this one. Mark Briscoe looks good. Takeshita was the MVP of the match. And again, to get the story where they wanted it to go and back on track, they needed to have Jungle Boy Jack win this. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is this his first? Is this his first singles title in AEW? I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he was a tag champion with Luchasaurus, but
kill switch. He also because he failed winning the TNT title from Cody Rhodes, I think, and then he failed winning the IWGP Heavyweight Championship last year.
Yeah.
Again.
Sonata.
Thank you.
Sonata, yeah.
Sonata, which kickstarted that, man. That was the domino effect that started the heel turn, which led into Brawl In, and now here we are.
Yeah, also failed to win the world title at Double or Nothing last year in that 4 Pillars 4-way, which was awesome. Yeah. But yeah, no, I can't really complain too much about it. It was alright. This next match was definitely alright, for sure, at least.
And ladies and gentlemen, I have a confession to make. This is where I stopped watching. I got through most of this pay-per-view, and then life kind of just took over, and I really had no desire to go and finish this show.
Fair enough.
My review of this show, you can take it with the biggest grain of salt. It's okay. I am not offended. I will just give my general thoughts of what I felt about the outcomes of this match. In this one, I'm not going to lie, tad bit annoyed me when it was announced, but considering the outcome of it makes all the sense in the world now.
Yes.
Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, is challenging Stephanie Bakir for the NJPW Strong Women's Championship. So let me get this straight. Mercedes Moné, who has the TBS championship, is challenging Stephanie Bakir, who is not only the Strong Women's Championship, she's the CMLL Women's Champion.
Might as well have just gone for both belts, huh?
You think that's enough titles?
Yeah, you might as well just go for both, huh? Go for broke.
This was so confusing that literally a week going into the show, there were fans that did not know which title was on the line in this match. You thought Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul was bad? This is worse.
Yeah, I've had my fair share to say, especially on that Double or Nothing pod, about the treatment of Mercedes Moné and how she's been put on such a huge pedestal, so fucking overrated. But honestly, seeing her promos now, where her feuds are going, do you think Tony Khan is starting to shift gears and starting to turn her into a heel? Because Mercedes,
I thought they were already there.
Mercedes to me has always been a much stronger heel than she was a babyface to me. You know, like she has had some great babyface moments. I can think of Raw in 2016, like, you know, just off the top of my head when I was a huge Mercedes fan. But just thinking more and more about it, she's much more comfortable in the bad guy role.
Because here's the thing. If she's going to parade around here saying, I'm the greatest women's wrestler in the world, I am creating history, I'm making headlines.
Yeah.
When you're a babyface saying that and you can't back it up, it makes you look like the biggest piece of trash in the world. When you're at least justified.
Yeah, when you're a heel, that at least makes sense. So I'm glad that they're starting to sort of go down that route. And listen, I don't think I ever said, I said Mercedes was overrated. Doesn't mean I think she's a bad worker. I think she's a great worker. I don't think she's as good as Becky or Bailey or Charlotte or any of the Four Horsewomen, but she's really good. The star, yeah, not as good as Rhea Ripley either. No fucking way. Yeah, welcome back to Mommy. She goes in there with Stephanie Vaquer, and Vaquer stole the show. Yes, yeah, Vaquer. I had no idea who she was. I'll admit before going in, but I wish I knew who she was after watching this match because she.
Well, here's the thing. Stephanie Vaquer was so fucking good in this match. Welcome to WWE, Stephanie Vaquer.
Yep.
Michael immediately sought after her. Pen
yes.
Paper, she's coming to WWE.
Well, she already did. She actually wrestled Isla Dawn at a house show in Mexico City and beat her.
Oh, yeah, but we'll be seeing her on TV a lot sooner than we think. So that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The impression that this girl left on Shawn Michaels.
Yes, yeah. So both women are exchanging crossfaces. The match was good enough, but it felt to me like this is the point in the show where the fans were starting to get a little restless. So these fans in Long Island decided to start chanting "fuck the Celtics" because not only was Mercedes in there and she's from Boston, but there was a dude in the third row wearing a Celtics jersey, and he was standing up. The Celtics had just won the NBA World title, I believe, and these fans decided to hound this poor guy in the third row. And he was, like, credit to him, he was taking it on the chin. But then they started chanting, "fuck the Red Sox," because, again, from Boston, like... Come on, you have Stephanie Vaquer in there, like having a fucking clinic.
Almost as bad as us getting the ice cream guy over at Revolution.
Well, at least, hey, hold on. That was a 60-minute Iron Man match. So that's, like, you're going to have some dead spots in there where not a whole lot is going on. So I feel like we were justified chanting for the Ice Cream Man. We needed, like,
I hope he still remembers that. I hope he...
Oh, man. For the rest of his life. I hope that Snapchat video that he took in the Chase Center, like, with 5 minutes left in the match is still saved on his phone. Like, yeah. I hope if that man stumbles across this video somehow... I hope to God that you still have that saved, because that was so fun to chant for him. But anyway, you can sense that this match was very good again, but the crowd just started to get a little antsy. I guess they were saving some energy for the main event, which we'll get to. They were exchanging crossfaces. Monet then
also again. 10 matches on the main show is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, which, if you were there from start to finish, including the pre-show, 15 matches. That's way too fucking much.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
You remember me complaining about our 38-match card at TLC 2018, and I still remember that because it was like the largest WWE card in history.
Yeah. Did not need to be a 10-match card on fucking tables, ladders, and chairs.
You know
December pay-per-view.
14-year-old me probably would have thought this is fucking awesome. 30-year-old me is like 6 matches max. That's all I can handle.
No, 7 matches max. That's it. Unless it's WrestleMania, unless it's like a 2-night buy one, get one free extravaganza, then you don't need to have like a bajillion matches on your pay-per-view. Yeah. But yeah, Vaquer looks really good. Monet looks good. Monet hits her Moneymaker Slam, and then she applies the bank statement. Vaquer taps out with 17 minutes. It's the bank statement.
No, it's not.
You're trying to think of the name.
It's the fucking move that I don't know because I barely watched Mercedes Moné.
Yep. Because you don't care enough. Yeah. Monet. Yeah, sure. So of course, you know, was there any doubt Mercedes is going to become a double champion here? Makes Vaquer tap out. Pretty good match, 3.5 stars. The crowd again lost interest pretty early on, but you know, I thought for what these ladies did, very good, especially on Vaquer's part. Especially so since she was just signed by WWE. So
Monet Maker.
It's the bank statement though.
It's the Monet Maker.
Yeah. So you know what really rubs me the wrong way is the referee presents both belts to Monet and she is shocked. Yeah. Why should you be shocked? Yeah, if you're the greatest women's wrestler on the planet, yeah, you should be totally rubbing this in everybody's face. Thankfully,
yeah, exactly. I hope this is just Mercedes Moné working us at this point, because she's a heel now, and as she always should have been.
Because the fans were booing her. There were a heavy contingent of Monet, detractors in this audience, especially compared to Double or Nothing, when it was very split down the middle. Couldn't really tell who was more over between her and Willow. This one, the crowd was definitely behind Vaquer. No doubt in my mind. But Monet doesn't really get her moment because we get another big return. Second straight AEW show, we get one of these. And it's Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Yeah.
No, that's not the gimmick. Wrong. That's not the gimmick. But I'm sure if he did that, if we met her again, then she would be like, no, wrong gimmick. Go to the back of the line.
I think she'd pop for it.
You think so? You think so? You want to bet? You want to bet? So she comes out.
I won't meet her again next year in Vegas.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down to do that. So she walks out there. She acknowledges Mercedes Moné. It looks like we're getting this match at All In, which, again, I don't want to say it feels like a bigger deal than Toni Storm and Mariah May, but if that match was not happening at All In, this would be the marquee women's match for a mid-card title. It might as well be the world title on Mercedes. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I get you there.
Yeah.
I totally get you there.
But, yeah,
but
Tony's...
also, again, I'm looking very forward to seeing Stephanie Vaquer in WWE. She's going to be a big name. I don't think she's going to spend too much time in NXT. I think we're going to see her on Raw and SmackDown before you know it. No. Maybe give her one title shot against Roxanne Perez before Julia comes in, and then Stephanie Vaquer can get called up shortly after that. I want to see Stephanie Vaquer in the Royal Rumble, saying that now. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Just like I'm pretty sure we're going to see Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble. There's no getting around that at this point. Joe Hendry's too over. Oh boy. Okay. So this one, since I didn't watch this show, I didn't know the results of this, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, good, because this was such an awkward thing for AEW to do. Jon Moxley is defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Taiji Naito. Let me say this right now. I think it is incredible statistic that Moxley is the only man in history to have won the AEW World Championship, the WWE Championship, and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. That is very impressive to his name, and that is really awesome. I just think they put the title on Moxley at a very awkward time, considering he's still a very high-valued star in AEW, and how New Japan is very particular on how their world champion is booked. Yes. Yeah, I totally 100% agree with you there. Moxley is greeted with the Wild Thing song. I don't think we've seen him on pay-per-view for AEW in quite some time, have we? Because he's won this IWGP title. It's very difficult to book one of your top stars when he's the world champion of another promotion. Yeah. So I'm sure Moxley had to spend most of his time in Japan. And again, I'm not against this decision. I just wish Tony Khan would have been, you know what? We're not really doing anything with Moxley. We don't really have any plans for him. Greedo, take him for 6 months. Have him run shot in New Japan. Which I'm sure Mox himself would not have minded that, because he's a huge mark for Japanese wrestling. So he gets to go over there. He gets to bleed every night. So it was very weird that they were basically sharing Moxley, and it led to some very awkward booking decisions. Because, even though Moxley is a big star in AEW, it's not like he's in some big storyline right now in AEW. So I think this would have been a perfect opportunity, to send him over to Japan. And then every few weeks, AEW could be like, oh, let's check in on Jon Moxley. He's the world champion in Japan. He said he's looking very forward to coming back to the U.S., but he's got some, business he's got to deal with. Yeah. And then when he comes back, they could have some fresh new ideas for Jon Moxley, even maybe get him back in the world title picture in AEW. But just this weird booking him in both countries was very awkward. Yeah, very, very, very weird presentation for Mox. I would say this match I thought was disappointing. I thought it could have been a lot more than it ended up being. Mox and Naito are two phenomenal brawlers. They had the 20 count because it's New Japan rules, and they didn't really end up using it a whole lot. I mean, there was crowd brawling, and there was outside, ringside brawling, but not as much as I would have envisioned in a Moxley match, especially. It was very bizarre. I'm not a big fan of crowd brawling. I'm going to be very honest with you there. But the really cool thing about New Japan and Ring of Honor when they had the 20 count rule was the whole point of the 20 count rule is to take advantage of doing more spots on the outside of the ring. I don't think that should be wasted on just punching each other through the crowd. This is where you can take advantage of, I don't know, an announce table spot, or you could take advantage of just a very devastating move on the outside. It gives you more time to breathe and to do more spots on the outside without having to worry about that 10 count.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. This match, Moxley gets in there. He's pretty dominant for a good chunk of it. Hits Naito with the dirty deeds, which gets a 2 count. Hits the
Rider.
well, first he hit the dirty deeds, and then he hit the Death Rider version.
Shit.
Yeah. He's trying to correct me here.
And if you're gonna say it, you need to say it right. It's Death Rider.
As Excalibur would say. Naito barely gets his shoulder up after the Death Rider! Is that good enough? Is that good enough? Okay, cool.
It's almost as iconic as Hog Rider.
Anyway, Moxley...
I'm sure Claudio Castagnoli would have popped for that, considering he's a big Clash of the Clans guy.
Yes. So because it was just a 2 count, Moxley starts to intimidate the referee, who is Red Shoes in this, and Red Shoe is assuring him that it's just 2. How come the referees in Japan have gimmicks? Like, I don't understand it. Why do you have a red shoes? Why do you have a green shoes? Why do you have a big red shoes?
It's a very subtle way. It's a very subtle way to get the refs over, which is very cool. Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah. Moxley then brings a chair into the ring. Excalibur knows that the title can change hands via disqualification because it's under New Japan rules. Naito lifts Moxley up for a DDT into the mat, and then he hits Destino. He pins, and he wins the title. Match went 17 minutes. This was the right decision, but pretty disappointing match, all things considered. I am going to give this 2 3/4 stars. These two guys have had matches way better than this.
Again, this was 100% the right decision because eventually the IWGP Heavyweight Championship had to go back to Japan full time. And it's just, it just makes me wonder now, they won't really do anything with Moxley leading up to this title change. What do they have planned for him now?
Yeah.
I feel like the Blackpool Combat Club is floundering, and it's the definition of a stable where they can't decide if their faces are heels. And you know what? It's proven time and time again that Jon Moxley is a better face than he's a heel.
Yes, he is. He's a lot more fun as a heel. Yeah. Oh, you gotta...
I think he's a better face.
Or a face, rather. Sorry. Yeah. Did I say he's a better heel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's only a better heel if he has like a gas mask, and the next week he comes out with a Kleenex, and the next week he comes out and he gets inoculations, and then he's got to talk about the disgusting pants, and then
he dropped the EC3.
Yes, I do, and then you got to say, you got to say the pooper scooper line. It's such good shit. And
is it though? Is the pooper scooper line really good?
No. So, with that said, speaking of such good shit, this main event, man. I'm looking right at you, Tomas, and I'm looking at everybody in the camera. Of all matches on this card that you gotta watch, it's this one right here. Swerve Strickland defending the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against the International Champion Will Ospreay. Should be noted that only Swerve's title is up for grabs here, so we're not doing winner take all. We're not doing any of that. It's the Cody Rhodes Logan Paul formula all over again. Will Ospreay makes his entrance. He has a nice, touching tribute to, I believe, the man who trained him, Hayabusa. No. Hayabusa didn't train him because Will Ospreay would have been too young. Hayabusa was like one of his influences, I guess. Swerve is played out to the ring by rapper Jim Jones of Dipset. To my knowledge and to my research. Fans seem to know who he is. I didn't know who he was, so I'm like, okay, so he's being played out by somebody.
We fly high, no lie. We ballin'. Come on.
Oh, yeah. No, that sounds like MVP's theme song. Prince Nana.
MVP got it from Jim Jones.
Okay, so
Uncultured swine.
Prince Nana comes out. His pants are falling down. He's swerving when he's driving, and everybody is swerving. These two guys had such good chemistry. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, Will Ospreay was rushed into a world title match. He should have gotten it at All In." So, to my knowledge, this main event right here was Will Ospreay's idea because he wanted to get the idea out of people's heads that he was winning the world title at All In. So, he wanted to just like be as transparent with the fans as possible. That wasn't on the docket for him, so he wanted to knock this match out.
What a selfless man Will Ospreay is, because he also went on record to say, "I'm not taking this title off of Swerve Strickland. He has earned this run, and I'm not going to be the guy that comes here and flexes and ruins his title run." So Will Ospreay, he's a top lad. He's a top bruv.
He's a top bruv. I want to meet him. I want to meet Will Ospreay. So he seems like such a cool guy. Yeah, no, I'd want to say I want to ask him if he's ever read the 3 Billy Goats Gruff.
Would you be intimidated by a man that calls himself the Billy Goat?
No, I'd be like, what Brothers Grimm tale are you from? When have I seen you on Once Upon a Time?
I know a certain someone that would like Will Ospreay because their name is the Billy Goat.
Who, Lindsay? oh yeah, no, okay, no, never mind. That look, okay, yeah. All right, never mind.
I like how you knew what I was talking about just from the look I gave you.
I knew exactly who you were talking about. It's not my girlfriend, don't worry. So Will Ospreay with a drive-by dropkick, just like he's the MVP. This match is really freaking awesome. Will hits a phenomenal.
Highlights from this one. This was fantastic.
Will with a phenomenal forearm for 2. I would love to see Will Ospreay versus AJ Styles at some point, because Will also hit a Styles Clash for a good near fall. Yeah, I mean, Swerve, like, Will Ospreay, one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Swerve is no slouch either. Swerve is proving to the world that he belongs in the main event. And that is, this man is a perfect example of what you do if you bet on yourself and hard work is paying off. You get rewarded like Swerve is. So,
you want to talk about that announce table spot?
Oh boy, yeah, that announce table spot. Do you want to take it? Jesus.
If I can remember I just remember it being gnarly. Was it a Swerve stomp?
It was a Swerve stomp, yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
From the top rope through the announce bunker, as I like to call it, because AEW was like prepared for nuclear war at these events, because these announce tables are ginormous.
Yeah.
Metal. And Swerve Strickland just stomps Ospreay to hell through this thing.
Yeah, no, that Will was like on Mars after that. And even then, Swerve is, he's inflicting more pain on him. He's hitting an angle slam at some point in the match, which I thought was cool. Ospreay eventually makes a comeback, and he hits an
Ospreay slam.
He hits an avalanche Oz cutter off the top. Like those Oz cutters are so clean. Like one right after the other, and Ospreay can't believe that Swerve kicks out of those two Oz cutters. Will recovers from taking a Swerve stomp and a pile driver very quickly, might I add. Like, I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, okay, Will Ospreay's an amazing wrestler, but I wish he would have sold a little bit more for Swerve.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I don't know, just
I don't
little
know
bits and pieces here and there.
These matches we need to watch for people to believe that Swerve Strickland is the fucking man as the world champion.
This is the best.
Like him and Cody Rhodes are constantly having to prove themselves that they're good world champions.
Yeah,
and they knock it out of the park every time. So what's the deal? What's the deal? 2
great black world champions. We're living in a great time right now. So those of you
icon Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, those of you who don't get the Negro icon Cody Rhodes joke, you haven't been with us long enough. Cody Rhodes ended racism, So, with that said, Will, more Oz cutters. He's going for the hidden blade. Swerve gets his forearms up. This is just really awesome. You also see, at certain points in the match, you see Daniel Garcia watching from the skybox. You see MJF watching WWE style backstage where he's cheating out, and he's like looking at the television like this, and I'm like, come on, how much more WWE can you get there? Will said he was going to go for the Tiger Driver, but he's a man of his word. He's not going to do it again.
He's you know why? You know why he didn't do it, right?
Why?
because it's very irresponsible to let a tiger drive.
I'm not listening to you anymore.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, stolen finishers. Swerve hits a hidden blade just like Will Ospreay does for a good near fall. Swerve reverse Rana. Will then hits a hidden blade of his own. The ref had taken a bump. There was no referee to count. And here comes the shitbag, Don Callis. He wants Will to use the screwdriver. And Will says he doesn't want to win the title that way. And, you know, I have to criticize Don Callis here because he is handing Will Ospreay the screwdriver while Don is holding the handle like a true dick. You never, like, if you hand someone a kitchen knife, you have to hold on to the blade so that the person receiving it does not grab the blade. You know, like, fucking dick move right there.
Thankfully, a screwdriver isn't that sharp, but still, it is a proper safety.
Yeah, so Prince Nana then shoves Don Callis down to the floor. Nana finally gets involved. He's getting his payday. Will then teases using the screwdriver on Nana. What a sick bastard. And then Nana begs him off. Will can't do it. He's too valiant of a babyface. Swerve hits a house call. Swerve stomp. 2 count. Great near fall there. Will is hulking up. Swerve says, give me more. Will hits a house call. Which was awesome finish here. Will tries one more hidden blade. Swerve hits one more house call, and a big pressure, and the 1, 2, 3. Swerve retains. 4 3/4 stars. Fantastic title match here.
Definitely
best match.
The definitive title, the most definitive title defense in Swerve Strickland's run so far. This is the title defense I think he needed. He 100% needed this. This huge win on his record just to cement him as world champion. Going forward, everybody thought it was going to be Will Ospreay. And now it looks like the next big obstacle in Swerve Strickland's way is going to be MJF, which I think is going to be a phenomenal match. I think this is really going to cement Swerve Strickland as that babyface champion, and who better else than MJF?
Yeah.
So I do like, and I want him to retain there too. Like, Swerve Strickland needs to just have a huge hit list of big names he's defeated.
Well, don't forget that he's defending against Danielson at Wembley because of the Owen. So
that's right. Yeah,
it's not going to be MJF at least until end of the year, I would say. But yeah, if there's one match, maybe 2 matches that you need to go out of your way to get Forbidden Door for, it's the Danielson Takagi match, and it's this one. This main event, worth the price of admission for me. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Great main event there. Swerve celebrates as the pay-per-view fades to black. He reassures Will that he's the best wrestler on the planet. And, they exchange an embrace in the middle of the ring. 2 baby faces, good sportsmanship. But, yeah, other than that, Forbidden Door, finally we got to reviewing it. I'm going to give this, this is a tough one, man. 7 out of 10, maybe?
I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 out of what I watched too. We have our issues with AEW, but we always acknowledge that the wrestling is great. I would just like a little more organization, a little more focus on a lot of these storylines, because AEW has the potential to remain good. Nothing will be 2019 to 2021 AEW, but
no,
it just feels like they've really lost their way, and they need to get back on track. Every time I think they're on the cusp of getting back on track, it's either shitty booking, unorganization. We've heard horror stories about how shit is run backstage at AEW. Ethan Page, the new NXT champion, just went on record as saying it was just an unorganized mess. And he would just get forgotten most of the time. So he says that WWE is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, and you're seeing a mass exodus like Ethan Page. Again, another brilliant example of a man who believes in himself and bets on himself. Jumps to the other side, and now he's the NXT champion, which is another show that we have yet to discuss, is NXT Heatwave from Toronto. It's not just him, though. It's Shawn Spears, it's Lexis King, Stephanie Vaquer did not sign with AEW, so I guess I can go ahead and lump her in as well. Jade Cargill, I think the biggest prime example,
Rhodes,
obviously, Cody Rhodes, the first one to make the jump. The first one to really notice problems were happening with his company. So, yeah. In any case, yeah, I'm rooting for AEW to succeed. This is not the last time we're going to be talking about AEW, but clearly Tomas and I have our criticisms of it right now. But we're going to be taking a break from it here on the ZNT Wrestling Show for a bit until the end of August, when All In descends upon Wembley Stadium, of course. It's looking like a good show with those 2 top title matches, well, 3 top title matches with Mercedes and Britt likely penciled in.
Yeah.
So,
and on deck next is going to be No Way Out 2005. We got SummerSlam coming up in a couple weeks.
2006. 2006. We've already.
05?
Yes.
No, we're going to look at 05 again just for the fuck of it.
Fuck, no, I don't want to do the barbed wire steel cage match again.
Nah, Angle and Taker was made anyway.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, you want to watch that. That's you want to watch that.
August, we have All In and we got Bash in Berlin. That's going to be a very fun weekend of international wrestling with both of those shows falling on the same weekend. We got a lot more to talk about here on the show.
Yes, hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you want to keep up with us, hit that thumbs up as well. Guys, thank you again so much for your patience. Y'all are the best. And commence that back talk. Take care, guys.